ticking clock.
Oh, what's up, guys? Whew. Welcome back to episode number 3. I was just outside chit-chatting with some of the other engineers, talking music. I guess we're finally going to get to some music talk, you know. I know we kind of got off track on episode 2, started talking about breakfasts and all that good stuff. Whew, trying to catch my breath here. Episode 2, I made 2 versions of it. When I was editing, realized that it was kind of weird just having my voice by itself. So I did put some background music. I don't know, maybe y'all can let me know. Did 2 versions, one with background music and one without background music. So I don't know, it just seemed kind of weird just to have my voice with nothing on. So y'all can tell me or let me know what you feel about that. I do have, I'm not even kidding, and without no exaggeration, I have decades worth of recordings. So, I guess let's talk about music. I mean, we'll start with that. I went through the whole evolution of it. Started off with reel to reel. Y'all can even imagine that. Some of you that may not know, reel to reel is like the old tape. And I don't mean like tape as a cassette tape or anything that was in a physical case itself. I'm talking about an actual tape on a reel. And you would put a spool 1 on one side and spool 2 on the other. And actually, my first job at a reel studio was I would listen to every single track, like the kick track, the snare track, the hi-hat track, bass track, guitar track. And my job was, with nothing connected, was literally to erase or demagnetize every section of music that had nothing in it. So if the singer only sang on verse 1, so I would record over when the song started all the way to where the singer started singing. And then any phrase in between where the singer was not singing, I would record that with just silence or with nothing, so that the take was nice and clean. And I would do that for every single track. Of course, then that went to like literally cutting, like with a grease pen, where you would literally mark the tape, take out your razor, and literally splice it together. But even before that, I mean, there was a whole discipline that went to it. You had to condition your rollers and clean the heads and all that good stuff before you ever even put the tape on. And it wasn't just hey, let's put the bass on track 1 or let's put the bass here. I mean, there were specific tracks, because the tape would actually, slide on the head, sometimes up or down, so you would get, phase issues. So, it's nothing like today where, oh my God, you have an infinite number of tracks and you can do anything you want. You can do, infinite drum parts and infinite guitar parts and bass parts and vocal parts and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so we did the tape for a while, and then did all the in-betweens, the ADATs, the original black faces, the DA88s. Oh my God, you can't even imagine. And then computers started coming around. For all you computer geeks or home studio recording guys, obviously now I've been a Pro Tools guy for easily over 20 years, but before that it was Digitools. Yeah, that's what it was called. And I think before Digitools it was called Digidrums, if I'm not mistaken. This is early 90s, I guess. And I remember back then, it worked on 4 megabytes of RAM, which is, ridiculous now. I mean, your phone can do thousands of times more processing than that. But I remember back in the day to even get a computer that could do that. Oh my God. You know, you were like a god if you had a computer that could handle that kind of audio. Then we went to the digital format, and once we went digital, we just kind of never looked back. You know, it was went to a computer recording, and then we did go kind of crazy after a while. Maybe having two computers, one computer that would host your main software, and then you had like another computer that maybe ran like virtual instruments or MIDI sequencing, and then eventually back to bigger one computer, something like dual core, and then quad core, and then 8 core, and then 12 core, and then it just went crazier and crazier and crazier, and then now we have these super Macs. Not that you can't get the performance out of a PC. I was on PC for many years, but I've been a Mac guy now, I mean, easily for the past decade. So I can't talk crap about either one, because I guarantee you I'll find the limitations on no matter what system you have. I'll find what it can't do. And even the Linux guys, I mean, my hat's off to you if you do anything on Linux. So, PC, Linux, or Mac, I mean, as long as you're getting the job done, right? That's the main thing. So it's, to some of you, this may not be exciting, but for all of you that are in the music world or in the recording world, I mean, it's our bread and butter. This is what we live on, the recordings platforms. Went through the whole gamut. Oh man, I can't even imagine all the programs we've been through. Obviously, Pro Tools is kind of the industry standard now, but there's a whole bunch of them. There's Ableton, there's Cubase, there's Logic, and then there's been all the other ones that have kind of fallen off the wayside, Acid, Digital Performer, my God, Reaper's come up. Yeah. So, that brings us to this world now where we can literally what's called non-destructive recording. And to some of you that this may not be interesting or fascinating, just try to hang in there. I'll try to get to some interesting stuff, but this is the basics of recording. And nowadays, thank God, everything is non-destructive. In other words, back when you had tape, if you recorded a guitar part and then you came back and re-recorded the guitar part, the previous part would be erased because the new part was being recorded on top. Now with computers and non-destructive recording, literally you keep every single take, so you can backtrack down to the very first note you laid down, even if it was 2 years later when the album was finally done. All right, so that's a little bit of my world, the recording world. So we've been talking about the recording process. Let's walk through, a normal week here. A lot of times when we get bands in, a lot of them, because, we do have a lot of signed artists, they do book off weeks or sometimes a week or 2 weeks or maybe even a month. And I personally like to do 12 hours. So I like to do 10 in the morning to 10 at night, or noon to midnight. And usually a week's work here is 5 days. So we usually do like Monday through Friday, because the band will either play Saturday and Sunday, or we'll do Sunday through Thursday, because the bands will hit the road and go play Friday and Saturday, and then, we'll catch back up on Sunday. Some guys are very prepared. We do talk about pre-production a lot, and then, of course, the regular production, and then post-production. So we try to cover all aspects of it. I do tell the guys, hey, if you want to save your money, really pre-production's where it's at. A lot of you out there might not even have a clue what I'm talking about pre-production. Pre-production is getting all your T's crossed and I's dotted before you ever show up here. That means getting your song formatted to, hey, this is the song. It has this intro, this verse, this bridge, this chorus, this gets repeated so many times, and the song is whatever, 3 minutes, 20 seconds, 2 minutes, 45 seconds, whatever. It's in this key. This is the BPM. You know, all the questions have been answered, and when you show up here, we're ready to roll. Some guys will actually rough draft the entire album at home, and then they bring in their session here, and then we just start basically rebuilding the same album, but, you know, at a professional quality. So, man, we get all kinds of guys. So some guys that are a little more pro, their techs will show up first. So some of the more pro bands, the drum tech will show up first. And he'll either look at what we have here and replace maybe cymbals or replace a snare or hi-hat or whatever, or they'll want to bring in their own kit with their specifics of what they want. Same thing with guitar players. Guitar tech will show up with their amps, or they'll look at what we got and they'll be like, okay, we're going to use this and this and this, but we're going to substitute this and that. And, you know, we'll kind of start dialing in sounds before the artist actually shows. When the artists do show up, whether they're pro or not, you know, I try to meet with them earlier. So if we're going to start at, let's say, 10 in the morning, there's a couple of restaurants down the street, and I'll ask them, hey, meet me at, 8:30 or meet me at 9, and let's get some breakfast together. And it helps to kind of break the ice, and we kind of catch up on, what have we been doing, what have I been working on? What have they been working on? A lot of times they will tell me, hey, I heard this recording, that recording, I like what you did, or sometimes even the other way, hey, dude, I heard what you did on this one, and I can't believe that's what came out. And I'll have to be like, yeah, well, I wasn't the producer on that one. I was just the engineer, and, I'm like the guy building you the porch. You want it built that way, and it's going to lean a certain way because that's how you want it. Hey, that's how it's going to get built. So that's another thing. Some projects do come in with producers. Some projects do come in with songwriters. Some projects, they got everything. They got a vocal coach here with them. Some guys even bring in like their own barista, if you can believe that. And they got that guy whipping up coffee. Those dudes are awesome. Oh man, the food part is actually kind of fun. These guys like to eat, man. So the spreads that they do bring are pretty fantastic. And sometimes I do try some food that I've never tried before, and it becomes a staple of what we like now. We always have that talk of, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy that tries all kinds of new stuff when they've never tried it before. Hey, I borrowed this guy's guitar. Or, hey, I borrowed this dude's amp. Or, hey, I'm going to try this new gauge of strings. Or, oh, for God's sake, stick with what you know. Don't try to catch lightning in a bottle here. Bring your A game. Bringing your A game is one of the talks I try to have with all these guys. And it seems like a lot of times you're playing therapist a lot. Yeah, if I could touch on one thing, I try to get social media out of here as much as I can. Because I have seen that really stop and crash our sessions when I think we got a groove going and we're doing really good, and then all of a sudden my singers lost focus, and I'm like, what's up? What happened? And it's inevitably, oh, did you see what so-and-so posted about me? Or did you see what they said? And I can't believe it. And I'm like, boom, and then they're gone. Their focus is not here anymore, and now they're trying to, write back or throw some other jab at them when that has nothing to do with what we're trying to accomplish today. Anyway, that's my day today. It does also get fun. I mean, we do a lot of road work. So, besides this, I've done years of road work, whether it's playing, performing with bands, or actually on location recording, live recording somewhere. Whether it's a live concert that needs to get captured, or some sort of live performance, or sometimes weird stuff. I mean, I've gotten called into hearings or depositions, or usually by the time I get called in, it's because it's gonna happen one time and one time only, and it needs to be captured to the most pristine that it could be captured at. At those jobs, it is kind of weird who you see there. I mean, I have seen a lot of senators, representatives. One time, an ex-president was at a gig. I mean, that was kind of weird. You just see people that you never would think would be there, and all of a sudden, boom, there they are. You're like, oh man, that's so-and-so. And sometimes I've even had a chance to talk to some of them, and I'll be really surprised at either how intelligent they are or how incredibly stupid they are. But hey, that's how they get their money, and this is how I get mine. So, I guess road stories are way more interesting. Just because you're far from home and you're seeing a whole new aspect of people and places that you just never experienced. There's a couple of stories that I'll never forget, and not really for the musical aspect of the story, but more of the human aspect. 3 stories come to mind. I'll try to keep them short. Story 1 is I was playing with this one band, and pretty well known, big in their circuit. And there was like a lobby area before you actually went into the venue. And I think I was out there talking to the merch dude. And we're just shooting the shit and just talking. And this one lady she didn't walk in. She came in on a wheelchair. Big fan of the singer and stuff. And, she came up to the merch stuff and kind of looking around, and I started chit-chatting with her, and I was like, hey, how you doing? And the usual stuff. And, oh, I'm doing all right. I came to see him, and I'm a big fan, and this and that. And then she laid on me, I'm dying. I have cancer. I was really taken back. I was like, wow. I didn't really know what to say. And so I told her, well, would you like to meet him? I'll gladly take you backstage, and you can, talk with him and take some pictures and stuff. And she told me, no, I met him years and years ago. He was very nice and a very cool guy, and I took pictures with him back then, and I was like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, get whatever you want. Take a shirt, take a poster, a koozie. I don't care. Whatever you want. Just take it. It's on the house. And she was like, no, I don't need that stuff. I don't got much time anymore. So, I don't want to take it when somebody else could have it or whatever. And I couldn't believe that, she's about to leave this life, and she just wanted to come see him one last time and not even talk to him. She just wanted to hear him sing one last time, and she loves his songs and his material, and that was it. I still to this day, I think about that, and how it touched me, and how much the music meant to her, and God bless her wherever she's at now. I mean, for all I know, she beat the cancer and she's still alive. I mean, I don't know, but it seemed like this was it for her. This was her, her curtain call, and she just wanted to, see him one last time. Second story that I'll never forget was, again on the road playing, and there was a bunch of bands playing, and we happened to be backstage. I'm not sure if we were going on or we had already gone on or whatever, but the drummer happened to have been on leave. I think he was a Marine or something to those effects. And he had done 2 tours. And I guess he was home and he just wanted to jam a little bit. So he was able to jump on this short little tour with his band, and he just played a couple of dates. And then he had to go finish he was going to have to go back on a 3rd tour. I think he was going back to Afghanistan. And he couldn't get out of it. And, the tragedies of war were weighing heavy on this guy. He shared a couple of his stories, and we were freaked out. I mean, you don't know killers, or, I don't want to call him a killer, but, someone who had, killed, he had killed people. That's what he had done. That was part of his gig over there. And he knew that he couldn't get out of this tour, so he basically was, in no simple terms, was telling us that he was going to make sure that he himself got killed as soon as he got there. So, we had all known him for some time, we've seen him throughout the years, and obviously before he joined the military, but he literally said his goodbyes. And this wasn't like some guy who was drunk or high or whatever, and was just, trying to get some attention. This guy was really serious. Like, this was his final hurrah. And he said his goodbyes. And I think he did die. I think some insurgency or whatever went down, and he explained that if he died a certain way, his family would be taken care of, and he just didn't want to do any more tours, and for some reason he couldn't get out of it, or I don't know what the situation was, but he was tired of war, and he wanted out, and this is his way out. So that's story number 2. The last story, maybe a little more hopeful story. I know the first 2 were kind of downers. The last story was, I remember this one because when I got home, my wife asked me, "Hey, how did the gig go?" And I remember telling her, "Babe, I saw 2 dudes just crying, bawling." She's like, "What are you talking about?" Well, it turns out that this one cat had been locked up, and I don't know how many years he did. He must have done, 10, 15 years. And somehow in prison, he was able to get a cassette of this band that I was helping out at this time. And the whole time that gets me emotional. The whole time he was locked up, that was his jam. He would play that tape over and over and over and over. And that was like his, that's what he clung on to. He said that one day he was going to get out. That one day he was going to make it out, and that he was going to go see that guy. The artist that I was backing up. And we had finished playing. We came off stage. And of course, we didn't know this guy's story. But he came up and he just collapsed. I'm talking about bawling. just bawling, crying and crying and crying and crying and crying, and just telling us, you don't know what it means to be here. You don't understand what it took for me to be here, that I'm finally seeing him sing. All these years, I only heard him from a cell. And now here I am listening to you as a free man. And man, even I couldn't hold it in, Even I cried. I was like, wow, what a story of triumph. I mean, I don't know what the guy did, that he got locked up. I would imagine maybe he was selling dope or whatever. But he did his time, and, that one cassette gave him the hope to hang in there and make it all the way through. And here he was. He had made it all the way to where we were at. And he was just thanking and so grateful. And just, it comes to show what the power of music, and what music can do to your soul, and how music kept this guy going, being locked in those four walls. So I'll never forget that guy. I hope wherever he's at that he's doing great, and I hope he got his life in order, and that, he's living his best life possible. Well, guys, that wraps up, this road stories or studio stories. I said we talk about music. Maybe this was not as captivating as episode 2 and Walter Talk and all that, but I just wanted to share a little bit of the backgrounds here, and some of the things that I've experienced, and I hope you like some of these stories, and we'll keep going. We'll keep going to episode 4 next time, and I'll try to think of something, and I will see you then.
Static hum in the dark night air. Voices rise, don't care if it's fair. Wasted time just sitting there. Hear it loud everywhere. We will wear. Echoes bounce off cracked walls. Laughs and rants, breaking all the falls. Questions asked to no one at all. Hanging out till we crawl. We're hanging out with chops. Time just never stops. Answers fade like drops on a broken ticking clock. Stories told without a clue. Lost in chaos, nothing new. Searching for the something true. Faint whispers in the blue. Tune in, get lost in the flow. Unknown faces in a show. Spinning tales from long ago with nowhere else to go. We're hanging out with chops. Time just never stops. Answers fade like drops on a broken ticking clock. Tune in, get lost in the flow. Unknown faces in a show. Spinning tales from long ago with nowhere else to go. We're hanging out with chops. Time just never stops. Answers fade like drops on a broken ticking clock. We're ticking clock. We're ticking clock. We're ticking clock.